Fishing season may be over, but we still got a lot of Bermuda stuff to talk about. So let's start by rating and debating. Stand up! Vanguard! Hey car fighters, welcome back to another set review on the channel. It's been a while that we did one of these, and today we're gonna start off by going over the cards for Bermuda Triangle they got in their extra booster set as well as their trial deck. So there is a lot to talk about, and because there are so many cards and it's only one clan, means that it's one video, we're gonna jump right into these cards and we're going to gun them down pretty damn fast, as a lot of cards are basically just out there for filler packs and to fill the new Highlander build, so there isn't really to talk about most of the cards, so I will just skim right over those cards as we're going through this video. So first off, we've got the generic stuff, and that's the starter, and they got a lot of different starter, but the main starter of Bermuda Triangle is Pure Gifter Alice. My ratings are going to be exactly the same, 4 stars, nothing really to talk about, so let's move on. Bermuda Triangle didn't got one 10k vanilla, but they got 2, and the first one is Feeling Height Rim, but they also got Up Flight Regal. And the reason why they got 2 is basically because of the Highlander, and I'm gonna give them both 3 stars because they are useful thanks to the Highlander build. But they also got the new 12k vanilla without a shield, and that's Social Fake Anthem, and it's basically another filler, and I'm gonna give it 2 stars. I'm not really fond of the 12k vanillas, so I'm still on the fence about if I'm really fond of them or not. We also got the generic normal PG, that is Suave Heart Lilly, and just like all the other normal PGs, I give them 2 stars as they just options and probably not gonna be played in most decks. Then we get the good perfect guards, and that's the draw PG, and this time it's Glitter Baby Rene, and as always I'm gonna give it 5 stars as it's just a very good card with a high value of a perfect guard as well as a draw trigger. Now we get to the unique stuff, and we're gonna start off with generic power-ups units that just gave power away and overall aren't really that interesting and probably not that strong in most builds. And the first is this great one that is anybody like Latil, and her skill is Auto Rearguard Circle. When placed, one of your other units get power plus 5k until the end of turn. It's not really that interesting, it's only that she gives another unit plus 5k when she's placed, and that's only 5k, and that's basically anything. It's temporary 5k on an 8k body, not really that special, so I will give it personally 2 stars. Then the next great one is Best of Best Isabella, and her skill is Auto Rearguard Circle. When placed, counter plus 2, 2 of your other rearguards get plus 5k until the end of turn, and if you have 5 rearguards, draw a card. There is a little bit more value out of this card than the previous one, as it gives 2 units plus 5k and it can potentially draw you a card. However, you need a Soul Blast, but you have a lot of Soul Charge options, and maybe in some builds you can utilize it. Sadly, it's a 7k body, but overall, because there is more value in this one particular card, I'm giving it 3 stars. Then the next great one is Love Natural Vol. She got 2 skills. Her first one is Auto Rearguard Circle. When placed, if you called another rearguard during this turn, this unit gets power plus 2k until the end of turn. And her second skill is Continuous Rearguard Circle. During the battle, it boosted. If you have 5 rearguards, this unit gets power plus 5k. Overall, there is more value in this one than the first great one that only gave 5k away when she's placed, as she does the same but she only gets 2k, but she gets it, so she becomes a 10k booster. But also, she can always get the plus 5k if you have a full field, so she can either become a 15k booster the first turn, and after that a 13k booster. And that is a lot more value out of a single card, as you get continuous value out of it. So I will give it 3 stars, so a little bit better than the one that was 2 stars, but not overall really high, because it's just generic power and it is just a beat stick. And beat sticks overall aren't really that great, as you want to have more utility effects. And then another great one, and that is Never Rise Idol Fina. And her skill is Auto Rearguard Circle. When your Vanguard is placed, this unit gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. So a little bit different than the first great one. This is the one that gets the plus 5k, and it's when your Vanguard is getting placed. You're getting a bit more value out of it because you're going to keep rewriting. But in the case that you call this late game, it doesn't really do that much, because you need to wait until your next turn when it's on the field. And that is pretty bad, as it's just open up for control, as it just can snap away before it even does something. And the turn that you place it, it really doesn't do anything, and that's not good. So I'm only giving it 2 stars, as yes, you can get more value out of it, but it's probably not that much. Then we got 2 units that are very interesting that have the similar skill. And the first one is that this great one, that sweet little girl Laveur, and her skill's Auto Rearguard Circle. When it attacks or boosts, If your opponent called 2 or more Guardians during this turn, this unit gets plus 10k until the end of battle. So basically when your opponent has used 2 Guardians, she will become an 18k attacker or booster. That's pretty good, as there are probably, if it's your last attack, they probably already guarded with at least 2 units, so you get extra value out of it. And with a certain grade 3, you can even get more value out of it, as you are going to force them to always guard with those excessive amounts of Guardians. So overall, I'm going to give it 4 stars, as it's a lot more easy to use, you get a lot more value out of it, and you can get immediate value out of this. And then there's a similar grade 2 that is Friendly High Touch Clotia, and her skill is Auto Rigard Circle. When it attacks, if your opponent called a total or 2 or more Guardians during this turn, this unit gets power plus 15k until the end of turn. So it's basically the grade 1, but with an extra little bit of power. Only this one cannot boost, because obviously it's grade 2, but it can become a 25k attacker. And that is a huge number for just nothing. And if you combine it with the grade 1, that can mean that you can build a 43k column for free every turn, basically. That's a pretty significant number, so I'm gonna give this card as well 4 stars as grade 1, as you get a lot more value out of it. Then next we've got a grade 2, and that is Bolstering Elegance Racial, and her skill is Continuous Rigard Circle. If your soul has 2 or less cards, this unit gets plus 2k. If your soul has no cards, this gets 5k instead of the plus 2k. And it's a continuous skill that also works during your opponent's turn, so that you can become a 12k or 50k. But overall, it doesn't really do that much. It's just a little bit power that she gets, and there are way better cards in Bermuda Triangle. So I'm gonna give it 1 star, as there is not really that much you're gonna go get out of this grade 2. Then we got a similar power level card, and that is Welcome Sing Uvuli, and her skill is Continuous Rigard Circle. If you called another Rigard with a card ability during this turn, this unit gets power plus 5k. So she is a continuous skill, but only is during your turn, and the only way to get the plus 5k is that you call a card through ability, which means you probably are using Counterblast or Soul Blast to give her plus 5k, and she's reliant on other cards, and that's just not good. It's basically a better trade-off than all the other cards we'll talk about, that it can just give power out always. So that's why I'm gonna give this one as well 1 star. Then next we've got Shapely Eyes Rue, and her skill is continuous on Rigard Circle. If you drew a card by your card ability during this turn, this unit gets power plus 5k. Includes draw trigger, does not activate for drive checks nor put effects. The important thing about this card is that it states that it's by a ability. So drawing for your turn doesn't count, because that's not an ability. And then again, just like the previous card, it's not really that good, because to draw, you're probably using resources to get that draw active. The only upside to this card is that it's also active during your opponent's turn. So if you get a defensive draw trigger or a draw trigger during your drive check, she also gets the power. So there is a little bit more room to use this card. And because there's a little bit more room and interactions with this card, I'm going to give it 2 stars instead of 1. Then we got another pair of cards with a similar skill. And the third grade 1 is Dance Queen Pulak. And her skill is Continuous Rigard Circle. If you have 5 or more cards in hand, this unit gets power plus 5k, so she can be continuous 13k. It's a little bit like how Oracle works, but overall it's not really that great, as it's just a generic plus 5k and it's on a 7k body, and that's always a little bit wonky, so I'll only give it 2 stars for that. Then the grade 2 counterpart is Mischievous Overload Chiller, and her skill is Continuous Rigard Circle. If your hand has 5 or more cards, this unit gets power plus 10k. So she gets a little bit more power than the grade 1, but she's also an 8k on a Force clan, and that is not good, because any grade 1 from probably every clan can hit you over when you're on grade 2. So I'm gonna give it 1 star, as the power value doesn't really benefit from the fact that it's such a low attack power. Then we get to the grade 2 from the trial deck, and that's Concealed Bitter Edness, and her skill is Auto Rigard Circle. When placed, cost counter plus 1, soul plus 1, this unit gets plus 5k until the end of turn, and if you called another Rigard during this turn, draw a card. Overall, it's a little bit more value out of 1 card, as it gives power, but it also can generate some draw. Only the downside is that it costs a lot more resources than most cards, and it's on a 9k body. So that will bring the power level of this card a little bit down, and that's why I only give it 3 stars, because there is value in it, but there's also a lot of downside to the card. Then we got another power grade 1, and that is Super Hit Melody Papalula, and her skill is Act on Vanguard the Rigard Circle, cost soul plus 1, and this unit gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. If it's on the Rigard Circle, then cost counter plus 1, and one of your Vanguards gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. So basically she can Soul Blast to give herself plus 5k power and Counter Blast to get the Vanguard plus 5k power if she's on the rearguard circle. Overall, it's not really that cost efficient for what you're doing, as generating power for resources and it's only 5k increments is not really that good, and I'm gonna give it 2 stars because she can do a little bit more than most cards, and it's an activity, so you can do it each and every turn as long as you have the resources. And it's also not once per turn, so you can stack it up. Then next we got the beater of the trial deck, and that's this Grade 3, Grateful Prior Emmy, and her skill is auto on Vanguard the rearguard circle. When it attacks the Vanguard, if you have 5 rearguards, this unit gets power plus 15k until the end of turn. Overall, it's a generic beater that can become 28 on her own without any resources, and she has a force marker, so that's always good. The only downside is that you need to have a full field. If you do not have a full field, she is basically a vanilla card that doesn't really do anything, and because that's a little bit tricky, I only give it 2 stars, and also it's a Grade 3. If it wasn't for the Melody cards, she would be probably rated a little bit higher, but because Melody is forcing you to run all the other Grade 3s, the value of this card is going down significantly. Now we get to the second Grade 3 of the trial deck, and that's Full Appeal for Lou. And she got 2 skills. Her first one is continuous Vanguard Circle. If you call a rearguard during this turn, this unit gets power plus 5k. So she can become an 80k attacker probably every turn, as you can call a unit each and every turn. Her second skill is Act on Vanguard Circle. Once per turn, cost counter plus 1. This unit gets power plus 15k until the end of turn. And if you have 5 rearguards, draw a card. So she is basically a giant beatstick. She can become 33 on her own without a force marker. And she can potentially draw a card if you have a full field. Overall, it is a lot of value in one card with a lot of power, and you can just beat over your opponent, but power will only give you so far, and because of the Melody cards, where the Grade 3 spots are basically filled for Melody cards, I'm gonna give this card 3 stars, as it's just generic. It's a very good beater, it has some good value and pressure tools, but because of Melody, her value in the clan in general is going a bit downward. Now that we talked about all the generic power cards that can just generate a lot of power, let's take a look at the interesting unique effects and the utility cards that have these strange interactions that might be good in the current builds or might be good in the upcoming future with new support. And the one that's going to kick it off is this Grade 0, that's Max Shout Curiae, and her skill is Auto. When your drive check reveals this card, you may put a trigger from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck. So she can basically recycle your triggers when she's drive checked. Overall, it is a good skill to refund your triggers, as triggers are very powerful, especially in standard right now. But because you need to run a Grade 0 to do so, you're clogging up your deck size and how your ratios are going to be. However, with the Highlander build, you always have room for this card, so there is a niche for the card itself. So I'm gonna give it 2 stars, as probably in normal type of builds you're not gonna see this as much, but it's something like the Highlander, it has some role to fill. Then we got a Grade 1 that is Administrative Solo Atori, and her skill is continuous rearguard circle. If you have no other units in the same column as this unit cannot be chosen nor be retired by your opponent's card effect. It can be attacked, retired if it is hit. So basically she got the resist skill, but also the skill of Promise Daughter, which makes it really hard and tough to remove. However, she needs to be the only one in the column, so she needs to be in the front row if you want to use her. And that makes her prone to targets to basically be attacked. However, it will soak up 1 attack, and that makes the card a little bit more better. So I'm gonna give it 3 stars, as there is use to this card. Then next we've got this Grade 1, and that's Favorite Child Ino, and she got 2 skills. Her first one is continuous on Vanguard and Rearguard Circle. During the battle that attacked the Vanguard, this unit gets power plus 2k. So she's just a 10k beater. That's pretty good for Grade 1, as it can basically help you with some early rush, as she can beat over 10k Grade 2s. But she also got a second skill, and that's Auto on Rearguard Circle. When your Vanguard attack hits a Vanguard, you may return this unit to your hand. So you can place it on the field, attack with it, and probably when your Vanguard hits that turn, you can bounce it back and you can still use it for shield value. That's a lot of value out of a single card, as you can use it for attack and defense. And usually only Grade 2s can do that with their intercept ability, but for a Grade 1 that can then bounce back, she's also safe for control effects. So that's pretty damn good. And with the extra rush accompanied to the card, I'm gonna give it 4 stars, as there is a lot of value in this Grade 1, and Grade 1s are a little little bit more accessible for the different builds, as Melody only is screaming for your grade 3 spot. And we've got another very interesting card, and that's this grade 2, Greenness Energy Sariya. And her skills, Auto Regular Circle, when it attacks, while not boosted, cost counter +1 and increase or decrease the power of this unit until it becomes the same as the power of one of your Vanguards until the end of the battle. Power becomes the same when it is chosen. So she can be your last attacker, and you can turn her in whatever you want in the power that your Vanguard is, so you beat over anything. The power level of this card lies in the fact that if it's your last attacker, and you attack with the Vanguard and your opponent is doing a 2 to pass, you can just bet every trigger that you get onto the Vanguard to hope that you can break through them, because you are not losing the value of those triggers. You maybe even get more value out of them because you can just copy the power level of your Vanguard with this unit. So you still get the extra additional power from your triggers, as well as you can make a safe bet to maybe beat over the 2 to pass. And that makes this card very interesting and very powerful in some scenarios. And for that fact, I'm going to give her 4 stars. Then another interesting grade 1, and that is Fluffy Wonder Prune. And her skill is on a regular circle. When your deck is shuffled by your card ability, this unit gets power plus 5k until the end of turn. So she can get a lot of power if you can stack up a lot of skills that shuffle your deck. And currently we have a couple of them that can do that. And the fact that she does interact with a lot of skills that can do stuff with your grade 3 Melody cards and a lot of other cards that you're going to run in most builds, this makes a more interesting effect. So I'm going to give it 4 stars because in contrast to the other power skills, her skill can activate a lot faster and a lot quicker and in a lot more different scenarios. Then we get to arguably the most powerful card from the trial deck, from Bermuda Triangle, and that's Choco Love Heart Liselotte. And she got 2 interesting skills. Her first one's continuous on hand. It can be called as a grade 1. Can be called to the regular circle even when your Vanguard is a grade 1. Is a grade 2 after being placed. So she can generate a lot of early rush, and it's a 10k beater onto the field that your opponent cannot really easily get rid of. And then her second skill is Auto on Vanguard and Regular Circle. When placed, look at the top card of your deck and call to the Regular Circle, or put it into your soul. This ability may only be used by a card with the same card name once per turn. So you cannot call her and then call another one and use both of their skills. So it's basically only one per turn like in the main. This is definitely a 5-star card because she can be used in any kind of scenarios. And she is very powerful with the early rush, and she can generate potentially another unit onto the field, or can fill your soul for future plays. It is just a very good aggressive card, and that's really what you want to see in something like Bermuda that can beat over with high numbers in the late game. Then we got another grade 2, and that is Blue Silver Diva Brume. And she got also 2 skills. Her first one is continuous on regular circle. During your opponent's turn, this unit gets power plus 5k. So basically, she is a 10k during your turn, but a 15k during your opponent's turn. That is good for some defensive play, but overall it doesn't really help you with your aggro plays, so it's a little bit weird to have this defensive card. And then we have got our second skill in this Auto on regular circle. When its attack hits a Vanguard, cost counter +1 and draw a card. Overall, it's a very good skill to have some extra draw potential, but sadly it's behind a on-hit Vanguard skill, and that's always a little bit tricky as you can get only so much value out of on-hit effects. So I'm going to give it 3 stars as it can help you with some early pressure, and at the same time help to keep it onto the field as it's harder to beat over it for your opponent. So it can help in some scenarios, and the extra draw effect can also come in handy in most scenarios. Then we get to one of my favorite cards of the clan, and that's Mastery Cover Minne. And her skill is Auto Regular Circle. When placed, cost counter +1, draw 2 cards, return a card from your hand to your deck, and shuffle it. If you have no rearguards with the same card name as your Vanguard on Regular Circle, return 3 cards instead of returning 1. So she has a little bit similar effect like Urwatar, where you can draw 2 and then shuffle 1 back into your deck. And this way you can get your key piece and put triggers back into your deck. But if you do not have the condition, you are going to minus for a counterblast. That sounds really bad, but as I stated before in previous videos, you can use it in your advantage during endgame scenarios where you just want to put all your triggers back into your deck so you can drive check all the triggers that you are basically just have in deck now. And also it can help you with deck out scenarios because you're going to +1 on your deck. Maybe you couldn't attack with your Vanguard because you're going to deck out. With this card, you can potentially have that last attack. And that last attack can maybe save you the game or not. So there's a lot of different scenarios for this card. And the fact that it can just draw you in some scenarios to plus you makes it a very powerful skill. So in my personal opinion, I'm going to rate this card 5 stars. as it can do a lot of different plays. Then we got another cycle card, and that is Officious Lucius Toria, and her skill is Auto Vanguard Circle. When the attack is boosted, hits a Vanguard, cost, retire this unit, look at the top card of your deck, put it on top or bottom of your deck and draw a card. So it's another on-hit effect for the Vanguard, so that's a little bit tricky. It also needs to retire itself, but you're going to draw off it. And also, you can look at the top card and decide if you want to draw that card or you want to have the next card. So you have a little bit more control about what you're going to draw or not. And that makes the card a little bit better. And I'm going to give it 3 stars for that, as effective cycling with drawing can always be very powerful. Then we get to one of the count charges of the deck, and that is Self-Management Liselotte, and her skill is Auto Vanguard Circle. At the end of battle, let it boost the Vanguard. If you have no face-up cards in your damage zone, cost, retire this unit and counter charge 1. So it's basically at the end of it boosted the Vanguard, you can get a count charge out of it. And that's pretty good to have always extra counterblast available to you. The only downside is that it only works on the Vanguard spot, but because it retires itself, you can then call a new one and you can reuse that circle. So it's not really that of a problem, but overall I'm going to give it 3 stars, as there is a limit to how much you're going to use this card and in how good it's going to be. Then we got another very powerful grade 1, and that's Rene Tier Stessa, and her skill is Auto Vanguard Circle. At the end of the battle that it boosted the Vanguard, cost, retire this unit and draw a card. So again, you can retire this unit and then you draw a card, so you're +0 out of it. But then she got a second part to the skill, and that's cost, counterblast 1, and put a grade 3 card from your drop zone on the bottom of your deck and draw a card. So you're now getting 2 draws out of it, and you're putting a grade 3 that's potentially a melody card back to the bottom of your deck, so you have another way to get some melody cards in the field. That's a pretty damn good package for only retiring itself and a counterblast. However, there is some resource that you need to be paid, so I'm going to give it 4 stars, as its resource value, how much it costs and what you're going to get out of it for benefits, it weighs up to itself, but the fact that it's all in one card makes it a lot better, so that's why I'm going to give it 4 stars. Then we got another cycle card, and that's Special Message Aurora, and her skills Auto Vanguard the Vanguard Circle. When placed, draw a card and discard a card from your hand. This ability may only be used by a card with the same card name once per turn. So it's just a drop draw, or in this case it's a draw drop. It's always good, it's always has a fit in all kinds of decks, so I'm gonna give it 4 stars, as cycle can always help with certain strategies of all kinds of builds, so it's good. And it's also an 8k body, and it works on the Vanguard Circle, so it's very effective, and it can already start from turn 1. Now we're going into the part for the Highlander build, so the support cards for Highlander as well as the Highlander cards themselves. And we're going to start it off with this grade 2, that's Glass Session Ostina. And her skills on a Vanguard Circle. When it attacks a Vanguard, if all of your units on the Vanguard Circle and Vanguard Circle have different card names, this unit gets power plus 5k until the end of battle. So she can become a 50k attacker. Again, it's one of the power cards, not really that valuable. It also needs to have all different names on the field. However, it doesn't say that you need to have a full field, so if you only have this card and the Vanguard, it still will trigger, so there's a merit in that. The fact that it has this condition means it can only be played in a Highlander build, and the value payoff is not really that high, so I'm only give it 2 stars, as it's just a generic attacker. Then we got a very interesting grade 1 for the Highlander build, and that's Creeping Girl Iced. And her skills Auto Vanguard Circle. When placed, cost, discard a total of 2 grade 3 cards with different card names each from your hand, search your deck for up to 1 grade 4 card, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. So she's basically a consistency engine, as she can get you the grade 4 that you want to write. And this is a very powerful skill, as you can get the best grade 4 for that scenario to go into that for the next turn. And the only downside is that you need to have 2 grade 3s, but because the Highlander build, you're probably only going to run off most grade 3s, so it's just get 2 grade 3s to your hand and you can use it. It's a down trade as you discard 2 grade 3s for a grade 4, but in those later stages of the game, you don't mind, as those grade 3s doesn't mean anything for you anymore, and you just want your grade 4s to keep the game going. And that's why I'm going to give it 4 stars, as it can be a very powerful card, as those grade 4s are game changers. And the first one that we're going to talk about is Diva of Atlantia Irina. And her skills Auto Vanguard Circle. When placed, reveal the 10 cards from the top of your deck, and if all of the normal units revealed have different card names, at the end of the first battle of this turn, stand this unit and shuffle your deck. So in the Highlander build, this skill will always activate, and also an upside is that it only looks at the normal units, so if you get a bunch of triggers, that's only better, as the chance of hitting different normal units will only increase. So there's also a merit in that in different kinds of strategies. But the fact that you can just stand your Vanguard for free is pretty damn nuts. And I'm gonna give it 4 stars. You could say 5 stars, but the reason I'm going 1 star lower is the fact that you need to build a deck specifically for this, so the rest of your deck consistency is going to go down. And that makes the card a little bit less good, as it's just in restander. It can be very powerful, but because of the deck consistency, it might not be that interesting as a whole package. Then we got another grade 4, and that's Unparalleled Inquinity Loura, and her skill is on a Vanguard circle. When placed, reveal the 10 card from the top of your deck, and if all normal units revealed have a different card names, call any number of the revealed cards to the Vanguard circle, and they get power plus 10k until the end of turn, and shuffle your deck. Once again, 4 stars. It's a very powerful effect, as it can fill your board if they just blow everything up. You can fill everything and it gets all power, and that's pretty damn insane for no cost. It doesn't cost you anything. However, the same down part is the consistency of the deck, and it can only call normal units. So if the revealed top 10 cards are mostly triggers, you cannot even actually call anything. And that's also not really that great about the card, as it can weave on its own skill. So keep that in mind when using this card. And then we get to the final grade 4, and this is basically the card that breaks the Highlander build, and that's Hard Monopoly Aneshka. And her skills on a Vanguard circle, when placed, reveal 10 cards on top of your deck and shuffle your deck. If all of the normal units revealed have different card names, acquire 1 imaginary gift, Force, Excel, and Protect, in any order. So she basically gets all the Protect markers, and now with the upcoming Protect 2, Excel 2, Force 2, it's even more nuts, as you can go wham with those things. Means you get so much value. You get an Excel circle and a Force clan, and you can put the Force markers onto that Excel circle, and you also get a Protect marker, so you're safe against other Force clans. The value out of this card is nuts, and this is the reason why Highlander build is actually a valuable strategy, that it actually makes it playable. And that's why I'm definitely going to give this card 6 stars, as it's insane. The fact that you get all the imaginary gift marks is such a strong card that even if you need to run a clunky build to get to this card, makes it worth it. It's definitely worth it because of this card. Now that we talked about the Highlander build, let's take a look at the support cards for Melody and the Melody cards themselves. So the main strategy for Bermuda Triangle. And we're going to start off with this grade 1, that's Deliberate Bash, Sariya, and her skill is continuous in regular circle. If you have a grade 3 or greater unit in the same column as this unit gets intercept and can intercept from the back row. So it's not really that of a Melody support card, but because Melody has so many grade 3s, this will make more sense in that kind of strategy. And she is alright. It's just an interceptor from the back row, so it's a 10k extra shield value that you can have. But it's a 7k body, so that's a little bit less good. So I'll only give it 2 stars. The next up, we've got basically a similar grade 2, and that is Devoted Time Inashta. And her skills continues a regular circle. If you have a grade 3 or greater unit in the same column as this unit gets boost and can intercept from the back row. So it's basically it's just a grade 1. But this time it's a little bit better, as it's a 10k grade 2, so your grade 3s will get another 10k onto them, like a Force marker. That's pretty damn good, as that's a lot of power. So I'm gonna give it 3 stars, as it's a little bit more value out of this card. Next up, we've got another grade 2, and that's Reverberator Dias. And her skills are continuous regular circle. This unit gets power plus 5k for each of your grade 3 rear guards. So she can get a lot of power if you have a lot of Melody cards on the field. And her second skill continues on Guardian Circle. If you have a grade 3 rearguard, this unit gets shield plus 5k. So she becomes a 10k shield. So just like the vanilla card. The downside is that it's on an 8k body. But overall, she can generate a lot of power. And the fact that you have another high beater onto the field makes her a lot more interesting. So I'm going to give her 3 stars. Because she can have a little bit more defense plays, as well as a lot of aggro plays. And that makes it pretty damn good. And even if you intercept with her, she also gets the extra shield value. So you can use her in more different ways than most cards. Then we got a similar grade 2 with a similar effect like her DS or second skill. And that is Strive Dream Radieux. And her skill is continuous on Rearguard and Guardian Circle. If you have a Rearguard with the same card name as your Vanguard on the Rearguard Circle, this unit gets power plus 2k and shield plus 5k. So she can become a 12k attacker and a 10k interceptor or shield unit. Overall, it's a interesting effect. It can work in a Melody build, as Melody usually has multiple cards with the same name. But overall, it's not really that great, as the restriction of the card makes it really limited in the use. And that's why I'm only going to give it 1 star, as there is not really that much value out of the card itself. Then next we've got another grade 1 countercharger, but this time it's for a very specific build, and that's Equable Curiae Spiana. And her skills Auto Rigard Circle. When placed, you may return a card with the same card name as a grade 3 on your Vanguard or Rigard Circle from your drop zone to your deck. If you returned, shuffle your deck and countercharge 1. So it basically screams, put a melody card back to the bottom of the deck and you countercharge 1. It's a pretty damn good card as it can fuel more of your melody plays, and it countercharge 1, so you can get more draw effects or all kinds of good effects out of it for the extra counterplays. So I'm gonna give it 3 stars as it can continue your melody plays in the later stages, as it just put more cards back to the deck. Then we got another generic grade 3, and that is Cute Obsession Papalula. And her skills continues to Vanguard the Rigard Circle. During your turn, if you have a Rigard with the same card name as your Vanguard on Rigard Circle, this unit gets power plus 15k. However, it is a grade 3 without a force marker, and it works only with something like Melody, but because it's a grade 3, it doesn't really work with melodies. It's really awkward, and in that case, I'm gonna give it 1 star, as skill doesn't really work that well, and even if it's 15k, the chances you get out of it is not really that high, and it also doesn't have a force marker, makes it not good. Then we get to the main support card for Melody, and that's top star Ciel, and she got 2 skills. Her first one is continuous Rigard Circle. Your other Riggers in the same column as this unit cannot be attacked, so she can protect one of your grade 3s or grade 2s in front of this unit. And her second skill is Auto Rigard Circle. When placed, cast Soul Blast 1 and reveal a grade 3 card from your hand. Look at the 7 cards from the top of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with Melody from among them, put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. This card is amazing as it can protect one of your cards, but at the same time it can help you with fetching your Melody cards to hand. And you want to get all the Melody cards in your hand so you can fill out the field with all kinds of crazy melody boards. So she is definitely 5 stars as she is a great consistency booster for the melody deck in a whole. Then next we've got basically to the main grade 3 of the melody engine, and that's Colorful Pastorale Sonata, and her melody skill is continuous Vanguard the Rigard Circle. During your turn, this unit gets power plus 5k. This is shared by all of your units with melody. Basically, melody skills means that this effect is put onto all cards with the melody effect. So if you have 2 of these Sonata, they both have the extra plus 5k. So both of them give plus 10k as they both have the plus 5k, and they gave the plus 5k skill also to the other one. It's a little bit confusing, but they basically give their own melody skills to the other ones, and everything can stack. So that can go crazy out of hand very quickly. Then her second skill, her main Vanguard skills, act on Vanguard Circle, once per turn, cast, Counter plus 1, Soul plus 1, reveal the card from the top of your deck until a card with Melody is revealed, call that card with Melody to the Rigard Circle and shuffle your deck. So basically, use your skill and you're going to get a Melody card onto the field, unless your deck is empty with Melody cards. So it's always a plus 1 and it helps with filling your Melody engine. So that's definitely a 5-star card. The first skill, just giving more power to the field, is always going to be good. The fact that when you call this thing, you're always going to call another melody without wasting your hand. Then next we've got another very powerful melody grade 3, and that's Colorful Pastorale Cannon. And her melody skills on a Vanguard and Rigard Circle. When placed, you may soul charge 1. This is shared by all units with melody. So every unit then suddenly gets the on play soul charge 1. And immediately works from that point when she's on the field. So you call her, you can Soldiers 1, and when you call another melody card, you can immediately Soldiers 1 as well. Soldiers might not really sound that great, but there are a lot of very powerful skills that gonna use Soul, like her own skill, that's Act Vanguard Circle, cast Soul Blast 3, and until the end of turn, when your opponent would call Guardians from his or her hand, he or she can only call 2 or more. So for the rest of the turn, you will have a Battle Dora effect. That is really strong in a Forest Clan, as they cannot Perfect Guard with just Perfect Guard and Ditch. They need to Perfect Guard, Ditch, and call another card, so that's 3 cards. And because you're gonna hit for high numbers, will probably mean that this can be your finishing turn. So this card is definitely very strong as a finisher. I'm going to give it 4 stars, as her melody skill on its own isn't really that interesting, but it can fuel your later plays. But her finisher power is really amazing. The next one, we got another support melody card itself, and that's Colorful Pastorale Serena. And her melody skills on our Vanguard and Rigard Circle. When an attack hits a Vanguard, if you have 4 or less cards in hand, draw a card. So it's when things go sour, you can basically filter you can basically draw some extra cards and hope to build up your hand size a little bit better. And her second skills, act on Vanguard Circle, cast, counter plus 3, return 3 cards with melody from your drop zone to your hand. and then you can call them to the field basically. So she is basically the rescue button of the deck, as she can help you fill your hand size a little bit better, and she can also call a new field for melody cards if your melody field was wiped for some reason, if they destroyed your entire field. Overall, it's not really that strong of a card, but it can be your way out if in some nasty scenarios. So I'm going to give it 4 stars in the fact that they have a out button in those nasty situations. The next one, we got another one of these very powerful melody cards, and that's Colorful Pastorale Fina. As her melody skills continues to Vanguard the Reverberator circle, this unit gets intercept, and auto, when it intercepts, this unit gets shield plus 10k until the end of that battle. So basically all your grade 3s becomes interceptors with 10k shield, and they get a lot of power, so suddenly everything is a very powerful skill, as your grade 3s suddenly all have shield now. So your defense capabilities go through the roof with this card. And her main skills, act on Vanguard circle, cost Soul Blast 2, and you activate effects with when hits, even when they do not hit for the battle of this turn. So this is a very powerful effect in certain scenarios if you have very powerful on hit effects, as they will go active no matter what. And that can be dangerous in some scenarios. Currently in Standard we do not have that many cards that can benefit from this effect, but maybe later down the road we can get some nasty interactions with this Vanguard skill. So that's why I'm definitely gonna give it 5 stars, as her melody skills is insane and her future potential can be also pretty nuts. And then we get to the last of the melody cards, and basically the last card of the set, and that's Colorful Pastorale Caro. And her melody skills continues to Vanguard the Reverberator circle. This unit gets boost and continuous Reverberator circle. During the battle it boosted, this unit gets power plus 5k. So basically she gives all boosters plus 5k, and all grade 3s with melody skill can also boost. So we can make a field with a lot of power, and all grade 3s can boost, and all grade 3s can intercept. Those 3 together are nuts, and that's what's going to make melody really powerful. And our main skill is Auto Vanguard circle. When placed, cast Soul Blast 2, search your deck for up to 1 Colorful Pastorale Caro, reveal it and put it into your hand and shuffle your deck. This is a pretty good skill, as when you ride her on Vanguard circle, you actually do not want to do that, as you want to have her onto the field at all times, so everything will always have boost. But thanks to her other skill, you can get one to hand always and then put it onto the field, and you will have a Caro onto the Reverberator circle that will always give boost to all other melody cards, even though when you write a new grade 3. Another very powerful skill, and that's gonna give it definitely 5 stars, as this is one of your key pieces that will make melody a very dangerous deck. We've seen a lot of cards, and I mean a lot of cards. We've seen some generic power generating cards that just gives a lot of power for either just nothing or for some resources. But we also saw a bunch of very interesting skills that might be good, might not be really that great now, but might be good later down the road. And that will always make some interesting decisions with deck building and all those kinds of strategies that I'm really look forward to when we get new cards. And of course, we've got 2 main strategies for the clan itself. The Highlander build with all these crazy powerful grade 4s that can do some nutty stuff. But we also got this new melody build with the melody keyword that is basically screaming, play a bunch of grade 3s, make some insane boards, and just beat over your opponent with a lot of power, because that deck can generate insane numbers right at the get-go. And with that, we covered about everything for Bermuda Triangle in the extra boost set as well as the trial deck. We saw a lot of cards, and also a lot of bad cards, as that's to do with the Highlander build, as they need a lot of different cards to be able to put them into the build. So we got a lot of trashy cards with just generic power, doesn't really do that much, or copies of other cards like the vanillas. But that's basically everything for me today, as this video has been going on long enough, as I'm already past the 50-minute mark of the recording, and my voice is hurting right now. So basically what I want to know is, let me know in the comments down below what you guys think of these Bermuda Triangle cards. Do you like the melody concept or the Highlander build? Are there specific cards in the set that you think they should have get a little bit more praise, or they are actually really bad cards? I'm curious what you guys think, so let me know in the comments down below. As always, I want to thank my Patreon supporters over at Patreon for making this video possible. And also, if you want to support us in doing this, then head on over to patreon.com/fingerinsider and become a Patreon today to also get exclusive access to content only on Patreon. But with that said, I'm Mr. Timeleap. See you guys in the next one.